Okay, it says we're live. So welcome.
Hey.
So, okay, so let us go directly into Photoshop. Application window. I'll just say entire screen.
Can you still hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Okay, yeah, only because I asked because the microphone had the slash up above.
Okay.
Oh, I wasn't sure.
Now, can you see that I'm in Photoshop?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. Okay, great. So yeah, the minute I jump out, it goes back to that strange view. Okay, okay, so here we are, Photoshop. And okay, now the first thing is let me turn this, I got background music, turn that down. Okay, so the first thing is the image that you sent me, you do know that it's not editable text, correct?
That was my question. I don't know why it's not editable when the layers are showing.
Okay, so what it is you have these, let's get to this one. So if I go...
I know the eyeballs, you know, you can tell which one you're on.
Right, okay, so these are layers. This is the layer panel. Let me hide these panels and make this larger.
Yeah, if you could make it larger, that'd be great.
Yeah, at least wider, yeah. Okay, so what's happening?
There's no way to make your screen larger, is it? Or does Photoshop take up your whole screen?
Yeah, Photoshop's taking up the whole screen, so.
Okay, okay.
I can see if I can make larger icons type of thing.
It's okay.
Panel options. Here's larger icons. Does that help? It's just
yeah, that helps.
Yeah, a little bit larger.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's happening is, okay, first is the tennis layer is like an object. See, so it's not editable text at all. It's a
even if you click on that T for text down in the tools.
Right, that would just get you to the type tool. So as an example, as an object, I grab my eraser tool and I go like this. You can see it's cutting right through it. So,
yes.
So cut through it. So it's treating it as an object. And then what's happened is you have like these where they are a smart object. See the little icon in the bottom right? So if I double click
that. But you know what, Andrew, I didn't make them a smart object. They did that on their own.
Okay. But as you can see, even if I go to the smart object and it opens its own kind of sub file, it's still just a kind of layer. It doesn't have any editing capabilities. So should I just kind of go ahead and show you how you would create a type layer and kind of go over layers itself?
Yeah, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
When I'm creating this, before I save it, everything is editable. Once I save it, this happens. Is that normal?
Shouldn't be, because I save PSD layered files all the time with editable text that I can go back and then edit the text like in a month's time or something.
Okay, so well then show me how to be able to edit it then.
Okay. So yeah, so these are all either smart objects or just kind of layered text. So I'm going to fill the background with a gray, just so you can offset and see this.
Okay.
Okay, so here's the character panel. And in general, you get any panel from the window menu. So if you go to window, you see all these different panels. So as an example, if I go and I turn off layers, the whole layers panel disappears. You can see my cursor, correct?
Yes.
Okay, great. So you always go up to window to find any panel. So that helps. So in this case, if I'm on the background layer, I see that in the toolbar at the bottom, there's a black and white. So if I click on that, it goes to the default of black or white color. If I switch this arrow here, then white will be the foreground color that I can use for my type. So when I choose the T and I go to the horizontal type tool, I click here and say I type in mom, you'll see that there's the T in the layers panel. See? T there? So once you double click the T, it will always highlight that word, and then you will be able to go up to your options bar at the top and then make any changes. Or if you've gone to Window and you open the character panel, you will have a character panel, as you can see here, which then does the same thing. So I can go right here to the size, and I can say 72. And at 72, it doesn't look much different. So what I
can't. It just looks like a black line to me because I can't.
Right, it's just highlighted.
So tiny.
So if I hover my cursor over the double T's next to where the 72px is, or size option is,
yeah,
I get what looks like a scrubby slider. It's a hand with 2 arrows. And then I can click on that and move it to the right, and then it'll, as a slider, move it larger. So I just click and pull. I can also click here and choose a subset.
Sure.
And now an even better option is if you click with your cursor beyond the PX, you can also use your up arrow or down arrow. And if you hold
up and down, yeah.
Yeah, and if you hold
do that
shift,
with fonts.
Right, and if you do that with a shift key, you can do it in larger increments. Yeah, 10 pixel increments. Okay, so then when I get to a certain point, I then click out, and then I can use the move tool to move it as a layer.
Sure.
Now, because it's a layer, the thing that I love about this is even though it's editable type, I can also do Command T. You're on a Mac, right?
No, I'm on a PC.
Okay, so you would do Control T on that layer, and then you would get the bounding box. And then what you do is you hold Option and Shift to constrain it, and then you can enlarge it that way. Because it still treats it like a layer, but it's still also editable type. So I could then go here.
Oh, I didn't know you could do that. I thought you just had to keep changing the font size.
Yeah. No, yeah, so you can do it either way.
Well, then that brings up a question that was one of the questions I had on the list, and that is, could you do Control T on Mom and elongate the text?
That's better for you to see now too, correct?
Oh, much better.
Okay, I just zoomed in a little bit. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were saying that again, to elongate it?
So can you do Control T on Mom?
Yes.
And then put the box around it, and then pull it down so that the O is, instead of O, it's kind of elongate the text.
All of it or just the O?
All of it, all of it.
Okay, so what I do is, because it's a layer and I want, a variation on it, if I do Control J on the layer, it creates a copy. So I turn off the other one, and then I do Command T or Control T for PC to transform. Okay. And then if I go to the middle and I pull up, it'll elongate it and distort it.
Okay, that's kind of what I needed to know that.
Otherwise, if you do Option Shift on a corner point, you can resize it proportionally.
Right. Control J, what does that do? That makes a copy?
Control J will make a copy. So you just hover over or select your layer, and then you do
And you right-click it?
No, you can do that as well, though. Like, say, if I right-click here, I'll get all these options.
J. Got it.
But yeah, if I do Control J, I can make another copy. And then if it's selected, you just hit the delete key, it'll go away.
Okay. Okay,
so a good thing to know is, like I said, it treats it like a layer, so you can use that Command T or transform tool. Okay. But you can also double click it, and I can change it to, like my name, or something, whatever. Right. And then a good thing to know is if I do Command T and I'm in this bounding box, and then I do right click in the middle, you can see all the options I have. So I can scale it, I can rotate it, I can skew it or warp it. I can also rotate it 180 degrees. I don't know if you'd want to, but I can rotate it those different ways, and I can flip it horizontal or vertical.
I've done that before, and I know how to arc it.
Yeah.
I know how to do that. Now, how did you get the box around it? Did you go in the layer and hit Control T?
Right. So I select the layer, and I just do Control T.
Control T.
And then that's where the bounding box for transform comes up. And then if once again, if I do Option Shift on a corner point, I can resize it proportionally.
Correct.
And if I right click, I have all these other options such as rotate. So I could rotate it like that for effect if I wanted to.
Yeah, I can do that.
And then if you're in this bounding box and you want to get out, you don't want to do any type of change, you just hit the Escape key and it goes back.
Okay.
Now, the thing I love about layers is that they're very easy. So when you have a layer such as this, and I want to make a quick copy, besides doing Command J, if I want to position it somehow, if I hold the Option key, you'll notice that this cursor goes from a black with a kind of sub-cursor next to it to a double arrow, a black and white arrow. That's by holding the Alt key on a PC or the Option key on a Mac. So when I hold that and I click and I drag, I can make a copy of it. So I can make as many copies as I want of that layer.
Wait, do that again?
Yep, okay. So I go Command Z to undo.
Oh,
Now,
Command Z. Command or Control?
Okay, sorry,
Control.
I'm PC Mac thing here. So on a PC, it's Control Z. Yeah.
Okay, it's okay.
So yeah, it's all right. It's just I'm used to, a lot of people are on Macs, so I'm used to doing the Mac thing. But I do both. So Control Z to undo. And if you wanted to do multiple undos, you can do Control Alt Z, and that's multiple.
No, wait. I'm trying to see how you duplicate it.
Right. I'm just telling you, like, if you undo something,
oh, got it.
To do more than one, you can go multiple stages back by doing Control Alt Z. Okay. Now.
Oh, I usually just do step backward.
Right, and you also have this. If you go to the History panel, you can move back to any kind of.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So here I am in this layer, and I'm in the cursor, the move tool. Top tool of the tools bar.
Okay.
Now, the minute I hold down the Alt key, it changes the icon to a double arrow. See the black and the white?
Yes.
And when I click and pull on that, I can make a copy.
Ah, that's how you made a copy.
And if I do it again, it turns into that icon again. I could click and pull again. So I could do it endlessly. Yeah.
And they'd all be the same size. That's great.
And then I could also say, well, you know what? Same size, but I want it to say something different, you know?
Okay.
And I could turn that off. Okay.
How would you cut that text in half?
Okay. So like right through the O or
no,
like
through the MOM. Lengthwise.
Like, okay. So like through horizontally, you mean?
Yes. Horizontally, right through the middle.
Okay. Just for effect, you mean?
Yeah, and yeah, I'm trying to do something where I cut it in half and put about an inch space between it, put a line underneath the top half of MON,
so
MOM.
So horizontally in between, you want to kind of cut it in half so it's two pieces, correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so here we are in the layers panel. It's a editable type layer. So once again, I would do Control J and make a copy.
Control.
And then I would right click and I would say Rasterize Layer, which is about like the 8th option down. Once you rasterize the layer, it is now no longer editable. I can't change that name. It's set to mom. And now it's treated like any other layer, just like the tennis ball. It's an object now. Okay. So now that it's a rasterized layer, I can do two things. I can grab my marquee, which is the second tool down, which is a selection tool. And then I just kind of line it up in the middle. And then I kind of go down. And you can have all this excess space around, it doesn't matter. Yeah. So I just kind of line it up where it looks like it's the middle. And then what I can do is I can do a Control X, and that will cut that. And then this next step is you click on this new layer icon at the bottom right.
Okay.
Second from right, not the delete one, but the second one. And then it creates a new layer 1. And then I just select the move tool, and then I do Control V to paste. And then it pastes that second part, and then I can just bring it down. So now it's two pieces. So it's mom copy and layer 1. So I could say mom bottom, and I could call the other one mom top. Okay,
good.
I like to name my layers because it gets, pretty confusing if you have a bunch of layer 1, layer 2, you know.
Yeah.
So there they are.
Now, on that smart layer above that says tennis, can't you right click the, oh wait.
Okay,
Well,
so
take one of those smart layers up above.
that's right.
Can't you right click and make it a regular layer so it can be editable?
Well, the thing is these smart objects, like say the tennis Pixabay, it's just a tennis ball. If I double click that icon on the right, it shows the kind of the original layer. So it's kind of confusing, like smart objects where you can have one layer kind of embedded into a smart object like this. So when I double clicked, it opens up to this large one, but it's really interconnected to this here, right? But as you can see that when it does open up the tennis Pixabay one, it's just a large version of it, that's all. So
okay, it's not so much the images that because I can put a box around it and make it bigger or smaller, but on tennis, the word tennis, that red tennis, can you right click on that box?
No, because as you look over, I always look over at the layers panel to see what it's telling me, and I can see that there is no icon. So there's no icon in the bottom right telling me it's a smart object. So it's just a layer. So
what am I doing wrong when I save it that these are not able to be edited?
okay, so this is the mom layer right here, right? So let me just bring that up. So I bring that there. This is the type layer that says mom, right?
Okay.
All you do is you then say File, Save As, and then it's going to save to like your desktop or something. And so you would just say Format, Photoshop, and make sure it says Layers is checked. You always want that to be checked.
I don't have those options in Word. I mean, on a PC.
Oh, you should though. Are you in Photoshop or Photoshop Elements?
No, Photoshop.
Okay.
When I go to save, it just brings up my document file, and I save it.
Okay, you might be doing Save instead of Save As. Okay, so let me show you that again. So if you go up to the top.
Well, when I do,
and what,
okay,
what does yours say? Does it say Photoshop CC, or what version of Photoshop do you have?
I have CC.
Okay,
the first time I save it, I do Save As.
Right.
Then if I make a change, I just say save, and then that's my mistake. I have to still say save as, correct?
Not really though, because as long as you're just, if I work on a PSD like this that's layered, after I've worked on it, I just do Control S to save it. The main thing is just to not flatten something. So I'm kind of confused as to why you are having flattened layers.
A flattened layer, I've heard that term. Does that mean that all the layers, they can't be edited?
Well, what I mean by like flattened layer is like flattened type layer. So as you can see here, I'm in the editable type layer. And if I double click the T, it does that, and I can, change it to anything I want, right? The only thing I could think of is that you somehow right-clicked and rasterize layer, and then it goes from being editable to just being a object. See, there's no type icon. Now if I go back, Control Z a couple times, then there it is. There's the T icon, and then it's editable type. So you somehow rasterize these layers. So you've rasterized tennis, and you've rasterized the original mom layer.
I've never gone to the word rasterize though, so I don't know. Somehow I'm doing it, but I don't know how I'm doing it.
Right. The only thing is, okay, besides creating the tennis and mom as, this kind of stylized text and changing the color to red, is there anything else that you might have done that might have been in the process where you could have rasterized it? Did you resize it just by clicking? Like, did you resize it by clicking there and then going here, or?
No, I usually, when I resize it, I go up to the top and I change the size of the font in the very, very top up there.
Right, right.
And if it only goes to 72 and I need 120, I just type in 120 or
Right.
110 or whatever I
Right.
need.
In this case, it's a large one, so it's.
Yeah.
So this one's all the way 471. It must be large. So if I check the, oops, I don't know how that happened. I'll go back. Okay. So if I go to inches, so it's 15 by 18 inch document at 300, which is good for print resolution. But that's why the type looks so small when you start. So let me just kind of show you if I start a new one. So say I go to File, New.
Okay.
And then this comes up, the New Document panel.
Yes.
And then they have all these kind of templates. So I could say, okay, print, that's what I want, letter size. And I'll just say lesson or something, So it's 8.5 by 11, and it's set to white. And then when I hit create, that's freaky. What's that? Weird, resolution is at 1. It shouldn't default to that. That's kind of almost like a bug or something. So yeah, print, and then letter. And then the resolution, you should make sure is 300 if it's for print. Okay. Do you know the difference between print and web resolution?
No.
Okay, so that's a good
I'm
one.
only making t-shirts. That's all I know.
Okay, you're only making what?
T-shirts.
Okay. Right, so you might have to, and are you sending the designs out to someone else, correct?
Sending them to Amazon.
Okay. Okay, so you might have to double check with them to see what the settings need to be resolution-wise, but the general rule is if it's going to be something that's printed in any form, it needs to be 300 resolution, 300 pixels per inch. Okay?
I think that's what we send them in on.
Yeah, okay, great. And then just so you know, if it's something for like the web or Facebook, it would be 72. And so all that means is that when you send something for print, you need 300 little pixels per inch that make up this photo or the image. Whereas on the web, you don't need that much because everything's being projected from a display.
Okay. Okay. And what would you use 600 for?
600 is typically when you scan something that you want to be high res that has a lot of detail, such as if someone told me that they have this old engraving of, like a Beverly Hills hotel or some historical building. It's an old etching or engraving. Then I might scan it at 600, so it would retain that nice detail.
Got it. Okay.
Also, yeah. Also, just so you know, another time that you res up or do a higher res creation from the beginning or a scan is when you think you might be resizing it. So the rule is, say if something was 5 inches by 5 inches and you knew you needed to make it 10 inches by 10 inches, it would be wise to scan it at 600 pixels per inch. Then when you resize it, you have all this extra pixels, extra information that can be interpolated and resized in a realistic way.
Okay.
So therefore, the rule of that is that you could never take something that someone gave you that's for the web, such as something that's 5 inches by 5 inches at 72, and then they say, can you make this 10 inches by 10 inches at 300 pixels per inch for printing? You would say no, the quality would be horrible.
Yeah, got it.
So
you can go down, but you can't go up.
Exactly. It's always better to have higher quality or more resolution than you need than it is to try to. You can get away with a little bit. Like I get jobs all the time where people say, okay, this is 8 by 12. Can you make it 9 by 13? And then I can bump it up a little bit, and there's not that much loss. But if they want me to double that, then it's going to get blurry and pixelated. So, okay, so here, as an example, I hit create. So here's a new document at 8.5 by 11 at 300. And the reason why mine defaults to showing pixels is because I do so much for like my groups and Facebook. But you can always just click here and switch it to inches. So 8.5 by 11 at 300. So now, as an example, if I go here, it says background in the layers panel. There's nothing there. I grab the type tool, horizontal type, I make sure that black is my foreground color. And then when I click and I type in, say, mom, you'll see that already from the get-go, it's not too small. It's more kind of in alignment with the size of this. And then when I double click that T and I go like this, I can make it larger as well. It still says it's 393 though. So that is kind of big though. But I guess because it's a 300 pixel per inch resolution. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So I just thought maybe it might be good to work on a new document so you're not distracted with some of the old elements.
Yeah.
But the main thing is, so here we are, we have an editable type. You know, I can change it to anything I want, right? Or, you know, right?
Right.
So that's easy. And then as I showed you, you can also just get out with the move tool, do a Command T, and you're in the bounding box, and you do an Option Shift, and you can do kind of quick. Yeah. Now, the reason why I do a Alt and Shift is the Shift will constrain it, but it kind of tends to resize it from one side. So I hold the Alt.
Oh, and if you push them both?
Yeah, then it just
pull them both down?
Right, it's more pleasing to me that I feel like it's being kind of resized, centered. It's not like,
got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me show you another trick that will be helpful, and then you can ask me a bunch of questions. I don't want to deviate from your lesson, but I just wanted to show you things I think are helpful. If you go
here's something I need. It's on the list. Yep. I need to know how to pull in an object such as the tennis ball right into the document, the mom file there, as opposed to dragging it onto my desktop and then dragging it into Photoshop.
Okay, do you mean if there are two things open like there are here?
No, one thing is open, like your mom document is open, and you have a file called tennis ball, or whatever you have on your desk, whatever you have in one of your files. I'm sure you must have an image of something. And I want to pull it into the mom document, but I don't want to have to, I don't want to have to do it in 3 steps. I just want to pull it into the same document I'm working on.
Okay, well, let me show you 2 ways then. Okay. So you can see the mom document, and then you can see your older document, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, great. Okay, so if you do have 2 documents open, it's as simple as choosing your move tool, and then you have to, let me close this. I don't know why Bridge got open, so let me click Bridge. So you can see the options bar. I'll close that, we don't need that. These are just some of those original smart objects that were open. Okay, now, the one thing that's extremely helpful while working in Photoshop is if you have 2 open documents like this and you want to bring elements from one to the next, you choose the move tool. And anytime I choose a tool, it's automatic. I quickly look up to the options bar at the top. And when you're in the move tool, if you have auto select layer on, as I do, by it being checked, it's very helpful. So that means if I go over to this document and I click on tennis, tennis is selected. If I click here, mom is selected. If I click here, the tennis ball is selected.
Yeah.
So that's very helpful. And then if I have 2 open documents like this, I just click and I can just drag and it jumps right over to the other one, right?
Okay. I don't know how to keep 2 documents open at the same time, but.
It's just if you open 2, like, yeah, if you go File, Open, you can open as many as you want. So you could open up like 5 documents.
I do that, but I can't see them both at the same time. I can only see one at a time.
Okay.
They're at the top of they're at the top of the bar up there where you have where it shows your documents are open, but I have to actually click on each document to see it. Okay,
this is what it looks like. Correct?
Yes.
So you have to click on this to go to that, correct? Okay, all that is, and once again, window is kind of always the go-to to get panels and to also change the arrangement. I went up to arrange, and mine was floating because that's the way I set my preferences. I like floating documents, but yours is set to open as tabs, just like you would a browser.
So Windows and then floating?
Go to Windows, Arrange. And then,
Arrange.
So I could now say float all in Windows, and then it dissects it. So now it's dissected. And I can move them around very easily by moving the gray bar with the title.
Got it.
And then I can either drag an object right over with the move tool as long as auto select layers on, or I could click on a layer and then see it in the layers panel. And then as I drag that layer right over to the other one, it pops right in.
Oh.
Now, isn't that good? So it's either dragging directly the object to the other document or dragging the appropriate titled layer to that. Now, for the sake of the lesson, let me do something. Duplicate layer. I'll just call it tennis ball. I'll do that. Say a new document. Okay, so I'm creating a new document that's just the tennis ball. Okay?
Okay.
And I'm going to save it. So I do a file save as, and layers is checked so it doesn't get flattened. And it's going onto my desktop, right? So say you only had this.
Wait, did you save it as a PNG? How did you save it?
No, I saved it as a PSD. So maybe that's the mistake you've been making is that if you save it as a PSD, then that is your layered Photoshop file. If you save it as a PNG, in fact, let's do that. And that might be solving your issue of what's happened with the flattening thing. So if I go over here and I say, desktop, let's go to date modified. Okay. So say this is tennis ball. Yeah, this is the one I have, tennis ball, PSD. And I'm just going to make a copy of it, right? Called tennis ball copy. So as you can see, it's a layer, and this is the gradient behind it is showing that it's transparent, right?
Yes.
But if I go and I say File, Save As, and instead of Photoshop, I chose PNG, and then I hit Save, and I quit that. Let's see what happens if I go to open it. Well, this is, oh shit, we should have done this with type. Let me do this with type. Sorry. Doesn't make sense with an object. Okay, so this is the copy, right?
So what I'm doing is I'm downloading these from websites. Come as a PNG file from a website.
Right.
And so you're telling me I can change the PNG to PSD?
Well, I'm also going to kind of solve what I think happened to your issue. I think what happened was you saved it as you had type. So we're going to do that now. So say we had type, and just once again type mom or something, right? Where is the type tool? Click. Oh, it's not working here. Type, horizontal. There we go. Okay, let me do a white background so we can see it at least for now. Okay, text. There we go. Okay. So here is editable text, right?
Yes.
And I'll even get rid of the background. So it's just on transparent, right? But if I do file, you're going to say?
How'd you get rid of the background? So, oh, never mind. I know how to do that.
Yeah, I hit the delete key, yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah. So if I do file, save as, and instead of PSD, which is the Photoshop layered file, I do PNG. And I hit, sorry, 1 second here. Context. Okay, and I'm going to do text test PNG, and I save it, right? Okay, so now this is I think exactly what solves your issue. If I go to open and I go to the text test PNG, which is editable text, and because I saved it as a PNG, it is now no longer editable text. So that's solved it. That's what the issue was. You were not saving as PSD, which is the Photoshop layered file. You were saving as PNG. And what PNG is it's similar to JPEGs. Are you still there?
I'm here, yeah.
Okay.
And yeah.
Okay, so what it is it's a format. So if I do this. So if I do this thing called File Save for Web, if I save something like this as a JPEG, top right, you'll see JPEG, it flattens it,
Yeah.
puts a white background. It's a flattened image, right? If I save something as a PNG, you can save it with transparency, but it turns the text editable layer into an object. So that's exactly what happened to you. You saved not as a PSD, you saved as a PNG. So you have to do, when you do File Save As, you want to save as PSD. So format is Photoshop, not PNG. Because PNG will keep the transparency behind it, but it will flatten any editable text layer. So we solved that.
Okay, so once it's a PNG, let's say I'm working on the mom file and I have a tennis ball that's PNG, I can't just open it and bring it in there.
Well, that's where it gets confusing. You can. Like if I go to
Me how to do that.
tennis ball copy PNG, you'll see that there's still transparency. So
yes, I understand. Yeah.
Right. So the thing that's confusing you, though, is that it's only when you have text. So if you have, not this one, let's go to the other one. So if you have this layer, which is editable text, the minute I save this as a PNG and say I have transparency, if I save this as PNG, the transparency will stay, tennis ball will be there, this will be there, but these will not be editable anymore. So this mom layer is no longer, editable text. It'll become a flattened object, or not flattened object.
Oh, I understand all that.
Right.
But I'm trying to say, if you could go back to the mom file.
The original one?
Well, the one you're working on. No, not that one. Just you opened a new file for mom.
I think it was this one. Yeah.
That. So take the tennis ball off of there.
Okay, so I just turn it off.
No, remove it.
Remove it. Okay, delete.
Delete.
Yep. Okay.
So now I want to bring the tennis ball in. How do I do that?
Okay, from an open document or from the desktop?
From a file.
Okay, so from like the desktop, right?
Yeah, from wherever you have your file of the tennis ball. Could be your desktop. Well, no, that's what I'm saying. For me, in order to bring it in there, it has to be on the desktop. But is there any way of bringing it from a file that's like in your Photoshop file, not on your desktop, in one move, instead of going to your desktop and then dragging it into your open document?
Well, that's what I was saying before that I showed you, was if you have this document and then you have this document open, if you have two documents open, I can just choose the move tool, click on the tennis ball and drag it right over.
I know, but let's say you don't have two documents open. You're working on a brand new document.
Right.
And let's say instead of a tennis ball, it's a hamburger.
Right.
And you have a hamburger somewhere in your file on your computer.
Right. You're still going to have to open it, though. So I'd have to go Command O.
Can you?
And then I'd go to tennis ball or whatever. And then there'd be that document. And then I'd have to still click and then just drag it over. But it's still pretty quick.
Okay, so I still have to do that. I thought there would be a way of just opening it and bringing it right into your document. But okay, so then I'm doing it the right way.
Well, I'm not sure if it works on a PC, but there's also this trick though. And if I get out of there, if I go to, let's see. So say I go to like tennis ball here on my desktop, right?
Yeah, right.
And I drag it down to my dock and hover over PSD. Sometimes that'll open right into, yeah, my Photoshop has been a little buggy with that type of opening things, but normally I can drag any document from my desktop onto the Photoshop icon.
Yeah.
And then it'll open up. And if there's already something open, then it will plop it right onto it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll try that. I've been actually just taking it out of the file, putting it on the desktop, and then dragging it into the document.
Okay. There's also this. So say I go to Google Images, right?
Yeah.
And I see this one and I like that one. So I go there. Well, I'll just go back to this one. So I go to this view. If I move my web browser over, I move Google Chrome over, I can grab this and then drop it. And then there it is. So I can drop it that way into an open
right
document.
from Google?
Well, right from a browser.
That's what I mean, a browser. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if I'm here, and then, I could say, you said hamburger, right? So I do hamburger. I could go here, and then if I click, and then I drop.
What are you clicking?
So I'm clicking just right onto.
On the burger.
With my cursor, I'm dragging, clicking right on the burger, clicking and holding and dragging, and Photoshop open in the background, so I can drag it and drop it.
Okay.
And then so therefore, when we're back in Photoshop, if I hit F, I get into this full view, and I can click on any layer and then do Command T and then resize it if I want.
Yeah.
Or delete.
Okay. Okay. Good.
Yeah. See, so that's pretty helpful. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then once again, if you wanted to duplicate these, just Alt, click and drag. So click on it.
Yeah.
Alt, click and drag. And you'll notice as I move, see how it does that? It has this new smart guides thing, which is really great. It keeps everything aligned.
Yeah, it's great.
That's perfectly aligned.
That is good.
Now, here's a trick though. So I'm thinking of ways that I can help you with layers, right? So say you have these three, right? 1, 2, 3. And you're like, you know what? I want them all aligned. What's the easiest way to align them? You click on the top one, you shift click the other two, and then you're in the move tool. You go up to the top options bar and you see all these align options.
Yeah.
So if I click on, where's the icon for centering? So, no, that's like a vertical. There's one for centering. Where is that? There we go. So I click on that and they all become centered. So they're all on the exact same level. And then I held shift, they're all still selected. I can move them as a unit.
Oh, good.
Right, so as long as you shift click. So if I click on this and I haven't shift clicked, it just moves the one. But if I shift click, they're all selected. I can then move them as a unit.
Okay, that's good to know. Can you pull up that chili pepper picture that I sent to you and show me how to pull out one chili pepper to use by itself?
So let me see.
It was in it was in Facebook.
Okay, Facebook.
Oh, no, sorry. I sent you a Word document. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't think I got that. I don't remember getting any documents.
You didn't get the Word document?
No.
Oh, let me send you the picture really quick.
Okay. So yeah, imagebliss@gmail.
Yeah, hold on just a second.
As you can see, I'm very busy with the whole Facebook thing, right?
Okay.
Here's someone wanting to recommend me to students. That's good.
That's always good. Recommendations are great.
Yeah, it helps a lot.
Okay, California. Oh, that's not it.
I mean,
Okay, I just
decided
sent it
to
to you.
And I decided to get out of my web browser because I think that's part of the recording, so you don't need to see me responding to people
Oh,
on Facebook. Yeah.
that's
So
okay.
let's go. Okay.
Yeah, when you ask me for questions, I'm going, well, wait, I thought I
There.
sent them to you.
Okay, so here, what I could do is I could either click on it in my Gmail and then just move my browser to the right, click on it, and then as I click and drag, boom, there it is right in that document. Same concept as if I'm in Google Images.
Wait a minute, I lost it because I somewhere else. I
Do it again.
clicked Photoshop and it was opening.
Okay, so watch my screen. Okay, so I got the email. So all I do is instead of downloading it, I'm like, well, what's the easiest? I'll just click on the image and it gives me the larger preview. I then grab the top of my browser and move it to the right. And then I click on the image and I click and I drag it to the Photoshop and I can drop it right into that document that's open.
Okay.
And once again, this must have been a PNG because it has transparency and you can see the text of the the type behind.
Yeah, it's a PNG.
So just remember that PNG is a great way to save something with transparency and treats it like an object. But if it's text layer, make sure you save that as a PSD, a Photoshop layered file, because that's what kind of I think confused you before, and that made it so your text layer became objects and no longer editable.
Yeah.
Good. So therefore, if I have this text or this object, of course, if I hold down Alt and click and drag, I can make a copy of it. Now here's something that
No. That's what I need you to show me is how to separate those 3 chili peppers.
Oh, okay. So similar to what I did with the dissecting of the type before, let me just turn off everything off except for the peppers, right?
Okay.
So here we are. Okay, so this is a layer with transparency. If I turn this off, you'll see it's transparent, right? So it's pretty simple.
Okay.
The rule is you have to choose, you have to use a selection tool. So I would choose like a lasso tool. So here's the lasso tool that I have. And I just click around it. And I give a little bit of space around it. And then you hover back to where you began, and then you see the icon show up.
Yes.
It has a little dot. And then once you click, it shows you the selection is now complete. Right?
Okay.
Since I'm on that layer, all I do is I do a Control X, and it cuts it. And I click on a new layer. It creates a new empty layer, layer 4, and I do a Control V to paste. And now it's its own free floating
Okay.
thing. So then I would have to go back to layer 3, which is the 2 peppers, choose my lasso tool again, and I do a selection around it again. Doesn't have to be perfect, just let's be kind of close.
Yeah.
Select it, and then Control X to cut it, click on a new layer, and then just Control V. And then when I choose the Move tool, I can move it wherever I want. And then I don't have to worry about the third one. It's already been cleaned up by subtracting the other 2.
Do you know how many YouTube videos I've watched to try to have this happen? And the problem with the YouTube videos, which everybody says, well, go to YouTube, is they don't have the CC version.
Right.
And they're clicking on things that are not on my version of Photoshop.
Sure. What tends to happen is, I tutor also one-on-one in person, like in Los Angeles, either at someone's like home office or Coffee Bean or something. And when I tend to meet people, a majority of it's a balance between students who are taking a class, young or older, it doesn't matter, and they feel like the teacher has got his own agenda, he has no compassion, he doesn't explain things, and he won't answer questions. So I'm always kind of answering people's questions that are being kind of, ignored in classes. And then the other group of people is a lot of like hobbyists, like photographers or designers who, But the funny thing is, my first job when I got here as a tutor was this girl who was in college. I think she went to FIDM, that FIDM Fashion College. And
I've heard of it.
And I was living in West Hollywood, and she came to my apartment studio, and she said, "I really don't want to learn anything. Can you just do my homework for me?" And I thought it was very funny. I was like, "This is very LA to me. This seems very LA."
Oh my
So
gosh, that is funny.
now,
Send you
just
one other. Oh,
yep.
go ahead.
Oh, okay, just once again, if I shift click these three, if I go up to here and I click on say this, I can then align them all to the top. See, so now they're all aligned. And then I believe if I do this, well, that doesn't space it well. That spaces it well.
Yeah.
And then just, I'm not sure if this is something you're gonna need to do, but just to show you, say I choose the red pepper. If you go up to Image, Adjustments, Hue Saturation, you get this panel. And it's quite great how you can change color. First is if you go to the hue slider, you can change it just by moving the
Oh
hue slider.
wow.
Isn't that great? So it
Oh
does like,
wow.
yeah, different varieties of color just by changing the hue. If I then hold Alt, I can click the reset button. And if I hit colorize, it'll give it kind of like this monotone color where everything's more like one color. There's no variation. But I can then move
Yeah.
the hue slider to change it to one color. So it's purple or blue or whatever. So
Oh
everything is
wow.
kind of, yeah. So colorize is a bit different than just moving the hue. The hue, you'll see that the green of the top might stay, but then the rest of the image will become, purple. And just while we're here, just to show you, if I hold Alt again, I can reset without leaving the panel. You can go to a preset, and this is where you can get things like sepia tone. So you can make something sepia tone, and then if I bump up the saturation a little bit, I can get it that kind of yellowish golden sepia tone, or more aged photo effect.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty nice. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to send you my questions because there's two examples on there that I want you to see.
Okay.
So that I can, it has to do with these kind of photos.
Sure.
Let me just send it to you really quick. Attach file.
Get out of here. So it's.
There's two photos that are alike. One is the photo and one is a transparent.
Okay. Did you
The one that's transparent took out more than I wanted it to take out because there's a hole on the side of that football helmet that I don't know how to close the gap on.
Okay, so if even though this is just instructions, I can do the same thing. I think I can, well, this is a Word doc, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna do a screen grab of this.
Oh, you can't pull those pictures out? I guess I need to send you those, right?
Well, I can download it. So let me download to desktop.
Okay.
And then, let's see. Go here. Sorry that my desktop's a bit messy. Photoshop Tutor.
That's okay. You gotta see mine.
I know. Sometimes I clean it up. It's just, this has order to me though. So.
I know everybody knows the order of their desk, right?
Okay. Okay, so the strange thing is it looks like it has your notes, but it doesn't have your images.
Okay, hold on. Let me grab those really quick.
Maybe it's slowly coming in. I don't know. Okay, there it comes.
Okay.
Do that later. Okay, now if I'm in Word, right?
Yeah, you're in Word.
So if I'm in Word, I can click on one, hold Shift and click on the other, I think. Well, let me do one at a time. I can click on one, and I can do Command C, and I think I can go to Photoshop and then post it into Yeah, see, I posted it. So that's how I got it from a Word doc. So to show you that again, I go to Word.
Okay.
I take my cursor, I click on the image on the right.
Okay.
It's
Yep.
highlighted. It's got a little bounding box. I do
Yeah.
a simple Control-C to copy. I go to
Okay.
Photoshop, and then I just do a Control-V, and then it
Okay.
pastes it.
And paste it.
So there they are. Here's the two. Okay. So is the
Yep.
question how to get rid of the background?
Well, I got rid of the background, but in the second picture, see, there's a little opening at the bottom of the face mask at where they grab it. There's a little opening right there that lets the transparency go away inside where it says Hellhead.
You mean this area?
No, keep going to the left.
This?
Up a little, up a little. There's that hole right there.
Oh, you mean you wanted it to, you want, oh, this.
I want to leave the color inside. Yeah, right there. There's a hole, and I don't know how to get around that.
Okay, so as I zoom in, you can see that everything is just made out of pixels. That's what any Photoshop image is. It's just these squares, right?
Right.
All I do is I choose, instead of a brush, I tend to use I'll choose a brush, and then I'll just go over and click on New Layer. And then I right click and I make sure that hardness is set to 100. Otherwise, you could just choose a pencil. It's just I got rid of my pencil because I never use it, because it's the same thing if I change it to 100% hardness on the brush.
Okay.
Okay, then what I'll do is I'll zoom out and I'll say, what color do I need it to be? It needs to connect these two, right?
Yeah.
So I might say it really needs to be a darker black. So I'll choose, first I'll choose my eye for eyedropper, click on that to make that my foreground color, go back to my brush, and it's already set to the right thing. I'll right click. And then make it small. Oops. I left bracket makes it a smaller brush. Okay. So then what I'm doing is just filling it in so it connects. See, so then when I go like this.
So you just connected those two pixels, really.
Right, so don't be afraid to zoom in as much as you need to.
Yeah.
And then you choose a brush that's set to 100% hardness. It's only set to 1 pixel size, so it's like literally a square. And then I just fill in where it wasn't connected. Pixel
and then
to
how do
pixel.
you zoom?
Okay, Control plus or minus on the keyboard.
Oh, okay. Control plus or minus. Okay.
Also, if you're using a brush and you want to make the brush smaller or larger, while you're in the brush, if you look underneath that plus or minus, there's a brackets. While you're in the brush, if you press the left bracket, it goes smaller. If you press the right bracket, it goes larger.
Okay.
Right bracket, larger. Left bracket, smaller. I tend to like to use that a lot more than just right-clicking and then choosing the exact size.
Yeah.
Now, one thing to remember, though, if you do use a brush set to 100% hardness, make sure that next time you use a brush and you want to do something painterly, that you right-click and then bring it down to, say, hardness 0, which is a soft edge, if that's your intent. Right?
So I would do that before I did the transparency.
On this design, you mean?
Yeah, I would do it on the other design first before I click to make it transparent.
Right.
Okay.
Now, so say on this one, just for the sake of the lesson, to get rid of the background, used what? Magic wand?
I used just the eraser tool and, and click on it.
Okay, I wouldn't do that, because what happens is if you click on the eraser tool and it knocks out a chunk, and then you do the eraser tool again and you knock out a chunk, you might not have inspected it enough, and then you realize that your image is not clean. So you might be like erasing chunks of pixels that you didn't want to do. So here's what I suggest. If you go to the toolbar, there's a thing called the quick selection tool or the magic wand. They both work similar, but for this solid area of color, I choose the magic wand. So magic wand tool.
Oh, that's what I use.
Okay, that is good then. Okay, now you got to make sure you're in the right layer. So I'm like in a different layer. So I go to, I choose this layer. Okay, now it says vector smart object, right? So here's a lesson in itself. If I choose the magic wand and I go to do something, it's still selecting it, right? And then I hold shift and I keep clicking and it selects more of that background. Shift click, keeps adding.
Yeah.
Shift click. And then a shift click here, shift click there, right? And then I'll zoom in. Shift click. And then what I do that a lot of people don't know about, if you go to this icon at the bottom of your toolbar, the second from the bottom, and you
I don't see your, oh, there's your cursor. Where did you go?
Okay, let me move it over.
Oh, underneath
the second icon.
Color.
If you double click it and turn on selected areas, it's called quick mask option. And you might have like red as your color. It doesn't matter. It's just a preview.
Yeah.
And then when you hit Q, you get a quick mask preview.
Oh.
And so that just shows you how solid or smooth your selection is. So I like to do that because it'll let me know if I missed anything. So if I zoom in, and
that's funny that it didn't go inside the
right there,
where it says Hellhead, because when we made it transparent, it went inside Hellhead and took the color out.
Yeah. So this keeps it solid the way you probably want. So then what I'll do is I'll zoom in, Command plus or Control plus a few times, and then I'll hold Shift, and then I'll click here. Then when I hit Q again, it shows me my preview. Now when I get to this point, I might say, you know what? I don't think the magic wand's going to help me much, but I'm in the brush while in quick mask mode, and then I can paint. As long as black is the foreground color, I can paint my selection. So I'm painting in these little points.
There you go.
And then when I hit Q again, it takes me back to the selection. And then what I do is I tend to choose the marquee tool. Let me close this one down. I tend to choose the marquee tool, and then I will right click and choose feather. And I'll use like a 0.8 for something that's realistic. So the higher the number, the softer the feather and the softer the edges. So for 0.8, and then when I hit delete, now, because it's a smart object, you're going to get this warning, could not complete because it's not editable. But all you got to do is go back and you right click and you say Rasterize Layer. And then when I hit delete, it'll delete the pixels.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Right? See?
Cool. Yeah.
Now, if you wanted a copy that goes like that one, I could just Option drag, Command T, right click, and say flip horizontal. And there's the other version of it.
Right.
And I could just delete that one or turn it off. Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you.
It's good, right?
Learned a lot.
Now, if you want, since I did do the work and dissected these, I can send you this layered file. You don't need the tennis balls on this one, right?
No, I don't.
Okay, that'll make it a smaller file size too.
Yeah.
Do you want the word mom or no?
No, I don't need the word mom.
Right, you can always type that. But for
the
these,
chili peppers would be great.
And the two footballs.
Yeah.
Now, just remember, if you want to make these bigger now, you would have to right-click and say Convert to Smart Object, and then you could resize them with less loss. So like I could go now.
How did you say make them a smart object? Where did you go to do that? Control T?
No, you have to go to, before you can do a Control T, I go to choose the right layer.
Yeah.
And then I right-click and choose Convert to Smart Object. And then you get that icon in the bottom right.
Got it.
Then I can do Control T, Alt Shift, and then resize it. Should I resize it for you right here?
Oh, if you want to, you can. Yeah.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
knowing that I want it to be the exact same size, I can even delete the other one. Option drag, Command T, right click, and say flip horizontal. Boom.
Yeah.
And I
Cool.
can even choose both and then align them.
Okay, good. You said you were gonna give me a couple books to look at because I'm trying to blend fonts together on the same t-shirt so that they don't look like, whoa, that's Chinese and that's something else. You know, I want them to kind of blend. Be different, like some be script and some be you know, just plain like mom, and like the one on the tennis, you know, that obviously is collegiate. So I want it to look like the category that I'm in. So if there's a book on how to combine fonts together to make it look pleasing to the eye, I don't know if there's a book out there for that.
Right. So I'll send you a link, but I'll just let you know now as well. So two little books that I got back in the day were pretty famous. They're little square books. I would say they're about 3 inches wide by 4 or 5 inches tall. But they're thick
Wow.
little books, and they're by Jim Krause. And one is called Type Index, and the other one is called Layout Index.
How do you spell his last name?
Krause, Jim Krause.
K-A what? Say that again.
Krause, so it's K-R-A.
Oh, K-R-A.
Yeah, K-R-A-U-S-E, Krause.
Okay, and he writes both of them?
That's correct. So it's Type Index, and the other one's called Layout Index. Now, they're classics, so I'm not sure, you know, what the price might be, but you usually can find like a in good quality Amazon one, you know.
Yeah, I don't
like,
need
like
a new.
new
So
or something.
Type Index and Layout Index.
Right. So as an example, with the Type Index, you would go through that book, and just as you start going through it, there's all these different design variations, and then at the bottom it tells you exactly what font it is. So it's giving you fonts in reference for style. And then there's even a whole section for like business cards, flyer type design, you know. So I open up this page 168, and it tells me fonts used in this chapter. And so it shows me the fonts and tells me the name of the font, you know.
Okay, good.
Its own stuff.
Well, I'll see if I can find them.
Right. So I can see that Impact is more like the mom type or kind of look, but then something like Castellar is more like a classic etched into stone type of, you know, classic font. So it's right there in front of me. I can quickly see it and get an idea. Okay, that's exactly the font I want. And
okay, lastly, I have one quick question, and I don't think you need to, I mean, because I think we're up, but in order to, let's say I'm making something and I want all the words to have a rainbow effect. Would I just go to Google and type in rainbow layer and then overlay it over all the text?
Right. I think, well, it's sort of like this though. Let me see here. I'll just put it on this one. Okay. So I'm going to do like a quick variation of that for you. So say I'm here. Bottom line is you would either have to get like a rainbow. Are you trying to get like the real look of a rainbow or just the colors?
No, just color. Like I want to take mom from marine blue over to a lighter pink at the other end of mom, and just kind of blend it.
Right. Okay. So.
And it could be any colors. It doesn't matter.
Okay. So what I do is I have mom as its own text layer. I create a new empty layer above it, and then I go to the gradient tool. And then when I click at the top left, the gradient, I can see what presets there might be. So as an example, maybe I'll choose this one. And then what I do is I create a selection that, create a selection with a marquee that's around the same size as that. Okay. So here's my selection with a marquee, and I'm in layer 8, the new empty layer. I then choose that gradient tool, set to those colors. and then I just click and drag across. Come on. Okay, there. And then I do a select from the select menu and choose deselect. Okay. So now this is its own layer above the other one, right?
Yes.
This is the easiest trick, but it's a wonderful effect. I take my cursor in between layer 6 and the mom type. And as I go in between, I hold Alt, and this icon comes up. See the icon?
Yes.
When I click, it goes right inside it. It clips it.
Oh.
And then what you do is you then click, you can click on that text or the top layer inside the text, and you can move it around subtly. Just remember though, it'll only go as far as the type is wide, or the box of color is wide. So as you can see, if I keep going, all of a sudden the black comes back, but you know, otherwise.
Got it.
Pretty cool, right?
Oh, that's exactly what I needed to know. But yeah.
Nice. And then what happens is if you want to offset it, you go down to the text type layer, you go down to FX, and you go down to drop shadow, and then you turn on preview, and I change it to the angle is 125, and I might make the spread and the size a little bit larger, and then you see how it offsets it.
Yeah.
So you can now it's more readable, and I might make the opacity darker so it's also stronger.
Oh yeah, that was on my list of things to do, was to do that and how to outline text.
Drop shadow. Okay, so then if it was outline, that would be, you go to stroke, and then when you go up to stroke, it's usually outside or something. Well, let's give it a color so we can see. So if I choose, well, maybe I'll do black. See, now it's got a stroke and a drop shadow.
And can you make the line thicker?
Right, so once you do stroke, you have all these options on the right. Let me bring that closer. All these options. So the top one is size. So if you move it to the right, it gets.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Now.
Oh, okay.
One thing that's good to know is if you're moving it to the right and it seems like it's getting too thick, too quick, and it's ruining the kind of readability.
Yeah.
Where it says position, change that from inside to outside, and then you have a little bit of more leeway. Good? Okay. And then you can also click after the number and then hit the down arrow to kind of do incremental changes.
Okay. Well, I hope I can see all this when I see the Google replay.
Yeah. Did you want me to keep mom in this file for you too, or no? Yeah.
Keep that there because it'll be in the recording. So yeah, it's fine.
Okay, so what I'll do is, just so you have it by email, is I will send this to you as a zip file. So you would just download the zip file to your desktop, double click it, and then it'll open it up as the PSD file. Okay? Because I'm not sure.
Okay, yeah.
I'm just not sure how big it is, and you can usually send a zip file when you can't send a PSD file.
You mean you're going to send, you're going to send a zip file. Okay.
Yeah, just a zip file that'll be this once you double click it. It'll be this PSD file.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah, and then let me know when it's up on Google, up on YouTube, and then I can go and watch the replay.
Right, it should be pretty much immediate. So I'm gonna have to run and get lunch, and then I'm also hosting a live video event in my group at 1 p.m. in a half an hour. So I will send the link to that event in the Facebook chat, and then shortly after or before, I will also send you the link to this YouTube video recording.
Well, you can do I have to go out and get lunch too. You can do the YouTube thing after your private lesson if you want.
It should be pretty immediate though. I think I should be able to get it the minute I stop this recording. So, but either way, I'll send it to you via Facebook chat, and let me know if you want me to also send it to you via email. Because that way you can send it to email with the link to the recording and the PSD file as a zip file, right?
Okay. Well, Andrew, you're a doll. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I hope it was helpful. I think we went over a lot of different things. So
it was very helpful. And when I learn all this and can perfect it, I will get another lesson from you.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Okay, and if I know anybody that needs them, I'll send them your way as well.
Excellent. And then I might even ask you for like a review on my my Google business listing. I would send you the link to that. So
Yeah. Send me that, and I'll give you. I'll definitely review it.
excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Those always help.
All right, have a great one.
You too. Thanks.
All right, and I'll stop the recording and live video event. There we are.
Okay. Adios.
So I'm back. Yeah. I have a wonderful day, and I will send you the link.
Okay. Thank
Take
you.
care.